updates.
Welcome to our second video, the second background guide update. This one refers to the Kurdish question. Again, I'm John, and this is
Lindsay.
And we're your Security Council, Team Deus. We will see you next week at the conference.
Kurds are the largest ethnic minority in Syria. They've demanded greater political rights for decades. Many are now fleeing the conflict and heading to Iraq. That's despite the Syrian government's efforts to persuade them to stay. Hoda Abdelhamid reports now from northern Iraq.
Rojin Hassan crossed into northern Iraq about a month ago. She lived all of her life in Damascus, but she was never considered a Syrian national.
We were considered foreigners, but they have given us nationality, so we are Syrian. But I wish we had our own region.
So far, Kurds have not joined the armed conflict. They are Syria's largest ethnic minority, but many of them were never granted citizenship. It's only after the uprising started that the government gave the nationality to an estimated 200,000 Kurds. Ahmed and his family were stateless all their lives. They now hold Syrian IDs, but for Ahmed, it's too little, too late.
This is a ploy by the regime. They're trying to calm the situation down, making sure we don't join the uprising. It's a game they're playing, but in the end, they will lose.
Like most of the people here, he does not want to show his face or reveal his full name in fear of retaliation against his relatives still inside Syria. Among the thousands of refugees here, many young men are deserters from the Syrian army. This group arrived in northern Iraq a few days ago. They were all conscripts who took part in the government crackdown. They fled because they were unwilling to continue fighting on behalf of a government that has done little for them.
They put the Kurds at the front, the Arabs behind, so if there was a problem, Kurds would be killed first. In the army, it's forbidden to speak Kurdish. If you meet a Kurdish friend and sit with him, they accuse you of holding secret meetings, so why should I defend them?
Inside Syria, the Kurds kept silent. But ask anyone here, and they will tell you that after decades of oppression, the time has come for them to fight for their rights. Recently, Syrian government forces have pulled out of northeast Syria and handed the area over to the Democratic Union Party, widely viewed as an offshoot of the PKK. Now, the move has angered Turkey and has also worried Kurdish officials here in Iraq. But for the refugees here, it is a golden opportunity. But Ahmed believes that Syria's Kurds could now tip the scale of the Syrian conflict.
This is the first time we've had some sort of control. It's a first step, but the government is still present. I would like for all Kurdistan to become one nation, but it's difficult now. The first step would be an autonomous region like here.
The refugees will stay here until President Assad falls, but they know the Syria they will return to is one that will have to take into account Kurdish aspirations. Hoda Abdelhamid, Al Jazeera.
The video you guys just saw talks about the Kurdish population leaving Syria to flee to Iraq. The video kind of shows how the Kurds and their lack of citizenship and rights plays into a larger state conflict. And before the conference, you guys should think about how this changes hope for an Iraqi Kurdistan and how it creates more of a need for the Security Council to consider the Kurdish question a threat to international peace and security. Thank you.
In this remote part of southeastern Turkey, ethnic Kurds are hopeful and happy. That's because they're finally returning to their villages after many years. They had left because of fighting between the PKK, an armed group pushing for Kurdish interests, and the Turkish military.
Our village was destroyed in 1993 because of these clashes. We are really hopeful about this peace process. That's enough. We don't want anyone to die from now on. We are all brothers and are no different from each other.
Jailed Kurdish leader Abdullah Öcalan called for a ceasefire in March. A month later, other Kurdish leaders gave a rare news conference, confirming their plans to withdraw from Turkey and head to Iraq starting from May 8. During this year's Kurdish New Year celebrations, people showed just how strongly they support these attempts for peace after nearly 30 years of conflict.
We are so happy because of these developments. We have witnessed many bad things since 1993. Our children were arrested, some of them killed from 1993 to 2012 by Turkish soldiers and Kurdish rebels. We don't want to see the same suffering from now on.
There are, however, a number of outstanding issues. The PKK fighters have dropped demands for an autonomous region, but they still want their leader, Öcalan, to be set free from prison. But Turkey, as well as the EU and NATO, consider PKK a terrorist group, and they want the fighters disarmed before they leave the area.
The withdrawal process is a very important step, and it's been carried out in quite a wholesome fashion. However, we should state that the withdrawal process is not the primary objective. The primary objective is to have the PKK disarmed and disbanded.
But for now, Kurdish villages in Turkey are starting to come to life again, as people start to build for the future after so many years on hold. Caroline Malone, Al Jazeera.
So the video you just watched is about the PKK, the Kurdish terrorist group. Their leader, Abdullah Öcalan, just recently declared a ceasefire with Turkey, which is a pretty big step as far as the peace planning process is going in the Middle East. The PKK group has moved to Iraq as a result of it. As delegates coming to this conference and members of the Security Council, you'll be asked to answer questions as far as what the implications might be on the level of international peace and security. Thank you.